What if I told you you've been lied to about money your entire life? Not by one person, but by a system that goes deeper than money.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world.
And what if I told you that Bitcoin didn't just reveal the truth, it shattered the illusion that you were never meant to question?
Rarely in American politics has a new industry spent so much money with such apparent impact as the cryptocurrency business did in the last election.
We've all asked this question before. What is money? Not what you use it for, not where you keep it, but what it actually is. Because we treat money like it's real, like its weight, value, and truth, but what if it's none of those things? What if the entire system we trust isn't real at all?
The dollar will dramatically lose its purchasing power. The more they print, the more it gets diluted. And with Bitcoin, you just can't do that. And so people who understand the concept of money supply being the driver of inflation, then they'll understand why Bitcoin is superior.
See, look, for most of modern history, we believe that money was backed by something. First it was gold, then it was trust, then it became paper. And now it's just numbers on a screen. Governments print it, banks move it, and you tap your phone and it's gone. But here's the thing, it's not backed by anything real, and it hasn't been for decades. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since 1971, and since then, the Federal Reserve has printed trillions out of thin air, with no limit.
Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
And here's the thing, the more they print, the less your money is worth, because that's inflation. And every time they call it a stimulus or a bailout or a relief package, what they're really doing is stealing from you and your kids and their future. And we let it happen because we didn't know that there was an alternative until Bitcoin.
The current financial system was designed to promote the wealth of a minority, which is why that minority tries everything possible to discourage people from using Bitcoin, because they know they will end up losing that privilege they have been carrying for centuries.
In 2008, the world was collapsing, banks had failed, people lost their homes, and the system was cracked. And from that chaos, a white paper was released by a guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, who, by the way, no one really knows to this day. But his white paper was about a coin called Bitcoin, which was a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Bitcoin didn't just promise a new currency, it promised a new truth, a way to store or transfer value without relying on the banks, governments, or the middleman. And it only had 21 million coins ever. No printing, no bailouts, no inflation button. Bitcoin wasn't a new form of money, it was a rebellion against the lie we all believed. And the crazy thing is, the first Bitcoin block, the Genesis block, included a hidden message. It was a headline from the Times. It said, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." It was a statement, it was a warning, a line in the sand. Bitcoin wasn't created during a financial crisis, it was actually created because of it. That message buried in that code said more than any press release ever could. It told the world that Bitcoin was a response, a counterpunch to the corruption of capitalized finance. It didn't ask for permission, it didn't wait for regulation, it just existed quietly, outside the system that had failed millions.
Weeks of stalemate and more than 24 hours of delay, the Senate finally voted last night to raise the debt limit and avert a potentially catastrophic default.
Crypto markets aren't actually an alternative to our banking system. They're a mirror of the same broken system with even less accountability and no rules at all.
If you were buying stock for speculation, you'd be protected by rules against things like pump and dump. Right. But not when you're buying Bitcoin for speculation.
And here's where the contrast becomes obvious. While the US government was printing trillions, Bitcoin was quietly doing the opposite. It had a cap, a rule, a mathematical ceiling. That's the part they don't want you to think about. That while they dilute your dollars every year, Bitcoin gets harder to get. In 2020, the US printed more than 20% of all dollars in existence.
Bitcoin is going up as well, and cryptocurrency is on the rise. And this is all caused because the federal government has printed the most amount of money in 1 year.
Biden urging Congress to pass more than $900 billion in COVID spending.
It's just a down payment. This is not the end of the deal.
All of the currency that's available in the USD amount About 22% of it was printed in 2020.
Let that sink in. In 1 year, they inflated the system by a fifth, and every year since, it kept on going. Meanwhile, Bitcoin kept halving. Every 4 years, the reward for mining dropped, which meant less supply and more scarcity. One asset is infinite, and the other is permanently limited. And now people are asking questions they never asked before. Questions like, where does my money actually come from? Why does everything keep getting more expensive? Who really controls value? And when people ask those questions, they find the world of Bitcoin. It's the first time in modern history where money wasn't dictated by power. It was governed by math. No lobbying, no stimulus votes, no late night printing decisions. And that terrified the people in charge for many years. Because when people start comparing a decentralized truth to a centralized illusion, the illusion begins to break. The truth is, scarcity changes behavior. When people know something is limited, they treat it differently. Bitcoin didn't just offer a new currency, it changed how people viewed value itself. It became a mirror, showing how artificial and unstable fiat money really was. Not because Bitcoin was perfect, but because everything else was clearly broken.
It's like, oh geez, should I? I don't really understand it, but it's doing so well. Why don't I join the game too? And you saw exactly the same kind of thinking in the internet bubble of 2000, where again, people said, look, I don't really understand these new internet companies, but they're going to change the world, and so I want to get in.
That didn't end so well.
And that didn't end so well. And the thing that history teaches us is that bubbles almost always burst.
If your clients came to you and said, I want to put a fair whack of my savings into cryptocurrency, what would you say?
Don't do it. That would be my advice, yeah.
But let's be honest, Bitcoin didn't just open eyes, it also opened the floodgates. Because when people saw that crypto could make you rich overnight, the gold rush began.
Recently, I've noticed a lot of videos on YouTube where people are saying that Bitcoins are a scam, a Ponzi scheme, or otherwise a bad idea. I disagree. So I would like to invite those people to put their money where their mouth is. I'm willing to bet 10,000 US dollars or equivalent in Bitcoins that over the next 2 years, Bitcoins will not only outperform the stock market, gold, silver, and the US dollar, but Bitcoins will do it by more than 100 times.
You had the birth of Memecoins, Dogecoin, Shiba, Pepe, SafeMoon, and then you had scams. Some made millions and others lost it all.
Fuck! Holy fuck, thanks for the 20 bandos. Yo!
People quit jobs, sold homes, emptied savings, all chasing the dream of crypto riches. There were many stories of someone turning $100 into 1 million and just as quickly back to zero. This wasn't Bitcoin's fault, but it was a monster born from its shadow. Because the moment people realized that money was just a game, they all wanted the cheat codes. And it spiraled fast. Influencers were pumping shitcoins, celebrities were selling dreams, and projects started vanishing overnight. What began as financial freedom turned into a digital casino, where the house was always winning. It became harder to tell the real revolution from the next rug pull.
Top right here, and then we could potentially go all the way up. Oh! Oh my god! What just happened? Is this an April Fool's joke? Oh my god. I'm ruined. I just got murdered. Oh my god, I just got murdered so hard.
And in that chaos, Bitcoin's original message got buried under greed. And still, that chaos served a purpose. It made everyone ask deeper questions. Why was everyone so desperate? Why were so many people willing to risk everything on dog-themed tokens? The answer was simple. Deep down, they knew the money system was broken. And even a 1% chance of escaping it through memes or madness felt worth it, no matter the risk. And then, the people in power noticed. At first, they laughed. Then they fought it. And then they started copying it. Suddenly, banks were talking about blockchains, governments started launching their own meme coins, and Wall Street, they wanted in. ETFs, custodial wallets, institutional investors, because since they couldn't kill Bitcoin, they joined in. And here's the thing, Bitcoin was never meant for these people or these organizations. It was meant for those that believed in it from the very beginning, and those that wanted to escape those very organizations.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally, so we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money.
Bitcoin didn't destroy the old system, it revealed it. It showed that money isn't real, the value is manipulated, and that power creates wealth, not merit, or any true backing of any currency. It exposed the idea that inflation is normal, that debt is necessary, and that trust should be blind. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Because if money is fake, everything built on it starts to crack. Wages, savings, retirement plans, stock market, everything. Bitcoin didn't give us all the answers, but it gave us the right questions. What is money, really? And once you ask that, you start to question everything else.
Crypto is a scourge. It's not something that you want in your society. It has no utility. It's just pure speculation. Remember, there's no balance sheet to crypto, there's no financial statements. But the other part that people don't really talk about enough are the dire externalities that are enabled by crypto.
What do you mean?
Every single crime you can conceive of is easier to do now because of crypto, especially ransomware, money laundering.
And here's what they don't tell you. The people who understood Bitcoin early, the ones who actually got it, didn't just get rich, they got out of the system that we're all still stuck in. They built lives outside the system, they escaped the 9-to-5, they stopped playing the game of chase the dollar. And sure, many of them were lucky, some were early, but most, they just paid attention. Because once you understand how broken money is, you stop trusting the people who print it. Bitcoin wasn't just about freedom, it was about responsibility. And for the first time, people saw what it looked like to actually own their wealth. No bank, no inflation, just math and conviction.
Bitcoin is booming, but that doesn't make it an alternative to the dollar yet.
Digital currencies spending another day in the red as uncertainty continues to hamper markets.
A new note that people are starting to talk about, the Bitcoin.
The money of the future.
And the thing is, no matter how hard you try, most people still don't get it. They see Bitcoin as a trend, a digital stock, a speculative gamble. But there's a deeper shift happening, not in the headlines, not in the price charts, but in the minds of those people that want that freedom of owning their own wealth. Every year, more people stop asking, how do I make more money? And they start asking, what even is money? Because they're seeing so many people print it from thin air. That shift, that question is what changes everything. Because let's be honest, this was never about currency, ever. This was about control, time, and energy. What your life is actually worth. And for the first time in modern history, the answer doesn't come from a politician, a banker, or a government office. It comes from you.
The goal is to have more Bitcoin than you had yesterday. Bitcoin is not an investment, it's a savings. So, I hear this, yeah, but it's too expensive now, forget it, I missed the boat. Like, what are you talking about, you missed the boat? You want $1 million, right? Yeah, of course. Do you have it? No. Do you want it? Yes. Are you gonna get it tomorrow in one shot? So why do you want to get one Bitcoin in one go?
Bitcoin gave people something that they've never had before, an exit, not from the world, but from the rigged game. And the moment you realize there's a way out, the rules stop mattering. You stop running in circles, you stop measuring the future by someone else's scale. So no, Bitcoin didn't fix the world, but it did something more dangerous. It made people think. It forced a generation to ask, what is money, who controls it, and what happens when enough of us stop playing along? Because once you see the lie, you can't unsee it. And that is how Bitcoin exposed the truth about money. And that being said, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you next time.